All right, you guys, this is pretty serious. This is why I put on a collared shirt right now because I want to help you fix your dismal LinkedIn and job search strategy because this week I've actually become everything I swore against. I'm now a recruiter. Hence the new outfit that I'm wearing. I'm no longer wearing a hoodie and looking like one of you bum developers out there. I'm now a recruiter. Or kind of, at least. I hooked up with an agency that pairs developers with startup roles, and I thought, hey, I know a bunch of developers out there. I'm teaching this AI program. Maybe we can hook up developers and find them really high paying roles. And then it's good for me and good for them as well. So they gave me access to the platform. I'm seeing this list of roles and I'm getting a list of candidates. If you are not super weird and you're a software developer, full stack, back end especially, and you're in San Francisco, Boston, or New York, you should fill out the form in the show notes and I will do my best to help you out as I cosplay as a recruiter. But anyway, being on the other side of the coin when it comes to recruiting has been eye-opening in some ways because now I'm seeing, oh, here's what people want, right? Here's what employers want to pay for, and here are the skills that developers have, and what is the delta between those two things? And I don't want to extrapolate too much and say, oh, if you learn this one thing, you're going to get the big fat bag that you're looking for. I think that's silly and a little bit lazy of a take to do. But I do want to help you with one of the easiest things that I do know quite a bit about, which is your LinkedIn. So I'm going to go through a few things. One, how to fix your janky ass LinkedIn. And then two, some of the skills that I would be learning right now if I was either a new developer, mid-level, full stack, senior, whatever. These are some skills that I think you should pick up. And if you've watched my videos, most of this will come as no surprise. But before I go into any of that, you may be thinking, well, how the hell do you know anything, dude? Well, first of all, I am a software developer just like you. Even though I'm cosplaying as a recruiter, I am truly and firmly a software developer. And every week I get people reaching out to me, other recruiters, and I want to show you in a way that I can do responsibly without like outing anybody or exposing my inbox through email. I had Claude use its browsing tools to go into my inbox and look over the last 45 days to show you how many outbound messages I've received from people that are looking to hire me. And is this a humble brag? I don't know. I'm a little sick of the conversation about how bad the market is or how good it is. It's really bad for some people and it's really good for some people. I'm not really here to debate the overall climate of the entire software job market. From where I'm sitting, I'm actually having more opportunities than I've literally had at any other time in my career. And you can see over the last 45 days, I've had 10 different recruiters reach out and it kind of breaks down like what they were for. You'll see a theme of like, startups. They want people that are senior or lead engineers or architect lead, whatever. They're AI driven, most of these companies. But then again, like what software company right now that's got funding isn't doing AI is probably a better question. So the 10 recruiters that reached out is actually probably an underestimate right now. So there could be more. It's just that, we just did a basic filter. I had Claude do it. I'm not going to go through there and show you my inbox and expose these people's emails. That would just be unethical. But more important than me bragging about how many recruiters want to hire your boy here, why don't I tell you what you could and should be doing? Now, I'm going to use my LinkedIn as an example of what you could and should be doing. And I'm not saying like, oh, this is the best LinkedIn at all. In fact, I think my LinkedIn has a lot to be desired. LinkedIn is a game that you must play. You don't have to like it. You can hate LinkedIn all you want. That's just like saying, well, I hate finding a job. Yes, we all do. No one likes finding a job, but LinkedIn is where you do that particular activity. So you will do it. Now, if there's nothing else you take away from this video, I hope you get this. No one wants to take a chance on you. And I see this way too often with junior developers or people that just got fired or something like that. They put a big green banner on their LinkedIn profile. They say, please hire me. Here's a sob story. And hopefully someone out there will have some pity on me and hire me. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh. This is the way that you may be perceived, whether that's fair or not. I'm not here to argue or disagree with what's fair or not. I'm just here to tell you how this can be perceived and how this is likely hurting you. No one cares about what's going on in your life, just at a very fundamental level, right? These people don't know you. These companies don't know you from a can of paint. They're looking at your profile saying, how can you help me make a lot of money? Right? That's all they care about. So if you're coming at it from that perspective, realizing that, hey, these companies are on the open market trying to basically purchase you for your skills so you can help them make a lot of money, maybe this can help you with how you present yourself online. Because if there's one thing I would do if I was you, I would scrub any mention of junior, aspiring, or learning off your LinkedIn. I often make this comparison or analogy Would you hire an aspiring dentist, an aspiring heart surgeon, a car mechanic who wants to learn on your car? You wouldn't, right? You'd say, absolutely not. So, as a software engineer making 100K, 200K, 300K, you just can't approach it from that angle. You're asking for considerably more than all those other people out there, but then you're saying, hey, take a chance on me. No one wants to take a chance on you. So, what do? You come on strong. Now, my LinkedIn, again, I'm not saying this is the golden standard here. I just wanted to show you my LinkedIn because it's easy to point at and poke holes at, and I don't need to do it to a stranger, which would be really not cool to do online, right? So you see one of my recent roles here, senior full stack AI engineer, obviously a pretty hot term here. I come on strong, in my opinion, at least. I'm like saying, hey, I'm one of the first hires on this team. I partnered directly with whatever. This is packed with buzzwords and keywords that include the tech stack that I worked with, but more importantly, it talks about my impact taking the product from 0 to 1. Founders and other recruiters will read this and they'll say, oh, that's what we need. We need a guy that does that. So I'm using their language. I'm telling them the things that I worked with. And I use this basic principle on my resume and my LinkedIn. It's saying what I did with what technology to get what outcome. What was the outcome of what I did? And I'm not always going to use hard numbers. In fact, I rarely use hard numbers nowadays because I realize those actually sound like a lot of the other ChatGPT generated junk out there. So if you see this, this tells a story. I like telling stories online. I like writing stories. I think this tells an interesting story. Someone could read this and say, oh, this guy kind of had semi-leadership role in here. Here's what he built, something cool with TikTok. Oh, cool. Here's the stuff he used. Oh, cool. We're looking for the same stuff. And here's what he did right here. He drove this product feature. And then the next one, you see the same thing. I'm not going to go through every single thing. I have a ton of different roles on here, and they go everywhere from senior full stack to associate director of engineering, which I did for 2 months, to senior engineering manager at other places, to other full stack roles that I've done. And this is a lot more powerful and a lot more interesting than just saying, hey, I did this with this technology. Now you're trying to stand out against a bunch of people that have just used that technology, whether it's C# or TypeScript or JavaScript or whatever. You're going to have to build something and talk about something that you've done and how that helped to achieve something else. Tell a story online. That way people can mentally map you onto whatever they're trying to do. They can say, oh, we're doing that thing this person talked about. We're trying to increase revenue, reduce latency. We're trying to go to market. We're trying to go from 0 to 1. All the buzzwords. You can use those same things back at the same people that are looking at this, recruiters especially, and then they can understand how you might fit into the roles that they are trying to hire for. Now, when it comes to hiring, what are these companies actually hiring for? Well, I'm not going to show you my recruiter screening portal, right? But I can tell you a few interesting things that I've seen on the other side of the table as a recruiter, essentially now. What I'm seeing may surprise you. I'm seeing that companies want people that specifically know how to implement RAG, retrieval augmented generation. They want to get engineers who not only know how to just call an API, right? That's just table stakes stuff. In fact, they actively and explicitly say, we don't want people that have just called OpenAI's API and consider themselves AI engineers. What are we looking for? Experience building RAG systems, experience building agents, experience with improving the retrieval and search quality, experience with evals, observability layers. Can they work with AI tools, but they don't just require them to just get everything done? Basically, can they do 80% of their work with an AI tool like Claude or whatever cursor? And can they do the other 20% on their own, or at least have the judgment to understand that that 20% is where a lot of the engineering work still takes place, and you still have to think through it. This is quite literally what I'm reading on multiple posts from these companies about what they are and are not looking for. And I'm going to go to a random role on here. I looked up AI engineer. This place is in San Francisco called Air Wallix. This is not an endorsement of these people. I have no clue what this is for. I just want to look at what these people are actually looking for, because I basically can guarantee it's probably the same things that I've seen in all the other positions that I'm looking to fill as well. Architect and deploy AI agents, LangChain, AutoGen, Crew AI, whatever, prompting, RAG, fine tuning, training from scratch. You're going to see this in basically all the roles out there that have AI in front of them, right? Whether it's forward deployed engineer, full stack AI, or AI engineer. Some of these places want applied AI and ML experience, but for the most part, They're looking for full stack developers that understand how to build on top of large language models. And you may think, oh, that's super simple. I'll just call the API. No, we just went over that, right? That's not what they're looking for at all. This also might surprise you. A lot of them aren't looking for years of experience doing this because most people don't have years of experience doing this. So, what they're looking for in place of that is a project that you can talk about, a complex problem that you've solved. It could be a public GitHub repo, it could be open source contributions, it could be a project that you've done. Quite literally, this is that time when there's not a lot of expertise in this field. So if you haven't built RAG systems for 2 years, don't worry because there's very few people that have, right? If you're a full stack software developer, it's very improbable that you've built some sort of AI system or done it for years, right? So just build one. And if you do build one, think about those things like observability, evals. How do you test the retrieval quality? Do you even need a vector database? Should you be using SQL? What kind of agent patterns are you going to be using? All these things which you can learn on your own or go to Parsity and check it out there. But yeah, you can learn this stuff, go above and beyond just that layer of like, I'm calling an API or I'm going to get really, really good at Claude. Everybody's trying to get really, really good at Claude. Fewer people are diving into this area here. And if you do, you put in the foundational work, you're going to have a lot more opportunity, especially in places like the Bay Area or New York, where they are hungry for these types of engineers and they're paying a lot of money for them. Now back to LinkedIn. Here is a bit of a hack, which I hate to like give out to people because it makes people think that there's some shortcut to get hired. And reality is there is no shortcut here, right? But you should be doing what other people don't do. Hey, you want to stand out in some way. One of the easiest ways to stand out on LinkedIn is to literally write something without the aid of ChatGPT. All the writing I do on LinkedIn is related to my business. I don't type anything out about really anything else besides my business. You'll never see me shouting out somebody else's company unless it's somebody I know, but I'm not here to be a sponsor for my company, right? I like to work at my company. I like my teammates, but I'm here to promote one thing, and that thing is Parsity, right? You may think, well, that can't help you at all. How could that help you out? Because when recruiters go through LinkedIn Sales Navigator, they're not reading through my posts. Are you insane? Do you think they're going to read through all this junk here or the other 100 or 1,000 candidates they're trying to find during the day? They don't care about all that. They're seeing, did you post at all? Because there is a filter on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So when LinkedIn recruiters go through their portal, which is different from the one that you and I use, the consumer facing one, will filter down people by their geography, their title, and also this really interesting filter, when was the last time they posted on LinkedIn? This helps them understand if you're active and if you're likely to respond to them if they do slide into your inbox. So I write on LinkedIn, 3 times a week or so. You don't need to write more than once per week because just doing that alone will put you ahead of 90% of people who are just here to scroll and just kind of read through things and hate on the platform, then they talk about it somewhere else. Just post anything. Anything that has to do with what you're building, what you're learning, and then make this a habit. Go on there week by week. And for the love of Bob, if you do get messages from recruiters, respond to them. Because if you respond to them, I respond to all messages, or I try to respond to all messages, especially from recruiters, because I know that helps determine whether they will keep trying to contact me, right? If you have a really low response rate, recruiters see that and they see maybe that you're really inactive on LinkedIn like most people are, and this can really hurt your chances too. So that's not a hack. It's just another way for you to have a slight edge on your competition. Now, I hope you found that helpful in some way. And I know it's really fun to hate on LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff and hate on recruiters too. And let me tell you, it is more difficult than I honestly thought to be a recruiter because I have a lot of really smart people that have hit me up, gave me their resumes, and signed up on that platform that I'm promoting. And I'm trying to find them work, but man, it is tough. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. I truly do see now what recruiters go through. You have companies that have these really inflated expectations, and they are paying a ton of money in their defense, but they're also looking for a lot. 6 days a week in office, some of these places, 5 days of travel. They want all these skills. They want the person that's going to believe in the company and really put it all on the line for a chance at that sweet, sweet payout that only 1 in 10 companies get. That's the reality, especially if you're going for startups. But let me tell you, the same skills that these companies are looking for are also in big enterprise companies. So they're all doing some version of RAG. They're all doing some version of agents. A few are dabbling in MCP. So if you really focus your time on acquiring those skills, and stop focusing so much on just using Claude or Cursor or getting better and better and better at writing code with agents, then you're going to have an outsized amount of opportunities on the open market. I'm looking for other ways that Parsity can partner with companies and agencies out there trying to hire specifically for AI engineering roles as we teach people this stuff. And if you go in the show notes, the description, or the pinned comment, you'll see the link to sign up for that platform where either me or somebody else will try to find you a good fit for a role, especially if you are a senior full stack software engineer. Man, you are probably in higher demand than you might think. As usual, I truly hope you found that helpful. And if you didn't, well, sorry. Anyways, see you around next time.